Today we're going to be reacting to this video. I spent a week in the 2000s. Now in the last video we took a look at this one right here, and you guys really seemed to enjoy my commentary. I really enjoyed reading your comments, and we're going to continue this by watching this video and simultaneously installing macOS just like last time, because I still need to install more macOS on my G5, and this time it's going to be macOS Server Edition, something that I've never used before. So let's start this off by rebooting into the installer, and even though it does say DVD, it is of course FireWire, because this is the best standard maybe to ever exist, because FireWire is awesome, at least for the 2000s anyways. So let's go ahead and restart this. Now this is from the YouTube channel Rod Studios, and this video is older than the other one. It still has a lot of views, but not quite a million like the other one, and it is a shorter video, coming in at 6 minutes and 27 seconds. The other one was around 15 minutes. macOS is ready to install, so I'll set this up. Here we are in the server installer, which is awesome to see. And of course, this will be installed on the dedicated server partition, and just like that, now we wait.
3 years ago, I tried to live in the early 2000s for a week.
Okay, so first off, this is interesting because he made a previous video and he specified early 2000s. So I'm going to guess that this is probably going to be the whole decade, because he only said a week in the 2000s.
But that didn't work out well due to the fact I was only limited to like a few activities. Plus I didn't go outside unless it was for school, and I had no access to the internet at all. So you can see how just watching movies and playing video games for 4 days.
So no internet, only playing some games, watching some movies. That sounds just like the other video that I reacted to, where all he did was play some video games and watched some DVDs and barely made use of the iMac he actually had.
Can get really old. But now things are different. I have access to the whole decade, and I have an '07 Corolla. I mean, I think I'm set. So without further ado, this is take 2 of me trying to live in the 2000s for a week. One of the first things I did was get a calendar, because I gotta write down.
Now obviously you could still do this today, but it is very cool to see a physical calendar. But even in the 2000s, you could use something like iCal, which is coincidentally right here.
When I'm going to work. I can't check my phone anymore. But with social media being a lot more relevant later on in the decade, it was basically vital that I would have it in this test. Now unfortunately, I don't have an old desktop that
Okay, so this is interesting because, you know, it's the whole decade. Social media was around, so it'll be very cool to see how he actually implements this. And we actually have Windows 7,
so I downloaded VirtualBox
which is 2009.
to run a virtual machine on my computer. But unfortunately, my Windows 7 wasn't working for some reason.
Okay, so at least he tried, which is more than I can say for the last video I saw, because he actually tried to get Windows 7 up and running in his virtual machine. Now, you could actually get a Windows 7 era system. They're pretty easy to get a hold of, but at the same time, you know, you just work with what you have.
So I have to resort to this. Sorry. Whenever I use the internet, I can only use YouTube, Facebook, and...
So even though he's using modern Windows, at least he's limiting the amount of stuff he can actually do with it.
Yeah, MySpace. Also, I re-downloaded Skype in case anyone wanted to talk to me through voice chat. And then it was time to do some finishing touches and remove some newer friends of mine. So goodbye PS5, PS4, Nintendo Switch, Wii U, Apple Watch, MacBook, Air Rods, and flat screen.
Now this is epic. Instead of just being a normal CRT TV, it's a karaoke CRT. At least it is an actual CRT television and not like just a flat screen. But towards the end of the 2000s, it was pretty easy to get a hold of, or maybe not super easy, but definitely more affordable to get a flat screen compared to the early 2000s, such as the Dell monitor I'm using to watch this video.
Just 30 seconds away. And
so no more iPhone, no more modern stuff.
The first time that I did it, I used my phone in airplane mode to document the whole thing. But now things are different. I'm gonna put it in my...
Now that is understandable, you know. These challenges should be for fun. It's not like you have to spend a lot of money for era appropriate. Like, obviously you can go for the complete authentic experience, But if you just want to do it for fun, maybe you don't have everything from the 2000s, like an iPhone 3GS for your camera, then it's understandable to work with what you have.
Closet, because this time I'm gonna use a very special camera. This was the first camera that I've ever owned.
So we're going back to, I'm guessing, 640 by 480 resolution, which is coincidentally what the iPhone 3GS records with.
Actually, I got it back in 2008. Oh, let's fix this. Now I think we're ready for the week.
And we even have the crispy audio.
So yeah,
that was a pretty good transition, by the way.
I guess in the morning I'll see you guys and we'll start doing stuff, hopefully. Hey guys, welcome to the 2000s. So over here we have...
You have the 360. It's a little bit blurry on this frame here, but, well, you can see a PS3, a Wii, a 360. Now, I guess if you really wanted to limit yourself, you'd probably just get one of these game systems, but considering he allowed himself to go within the entire decade, it's understandable that he decided to have all the consoles as well.
Stuff. So yeah, we've got Fallout 3 rolling, got an iPod. Unfortunately, I can't use my flip phone because, I don't know, they weren't able to, like, connect it, so...
Yeah, that's the problem with some older cellular devices. If you don't have 3G or even 2G networks around, you can't connect to them.
I can't call anyone. We have the older stuff over here.
So we have the PS2 original Xbox connected up to the CRT.
I don't really have any games on the GameCube, so I didn't set that up. But yeah, we have Vice City rolling right now. It's really bright. And then this is the place where...
So he does have a flat screen for his PC.
All the magic happens. And right now, Mr. Brightside is playing. Yeah, I got some 2000 snacks. Yeah, we got Capri Sun, we got Doritos. So usually to start off the day, I go out for a walk. And of course, I play some music. One of the things I already started to miss was my library of music. We have access to every single song ever made, basically, in our pocket. But now I'm only limited to around 1,000, and this isn't my library, so...
Okay, it's very cool that he actually has an iPod here, but if you did take some time to actually get the music on your system locally, you could just sync it over to your iPod. Not everyone has a lot of time to create an iTunes library. It would have made the experience at least a little bit more enjoyable.
So, most of these songs aren't my taste. Also, if I want to adjust the volume of the music, I can no longer search my pocket for the volume. I have to take...
To be fair, if you're using... I know I'm bringing this up a lot, but if you're using, like, an older iPhone, you could still control the volume without actually having to access it, and the newer headphones actually have a built-in remote, at least depending on which one you have. And there were actually remotes for the iPod lineup, at least for the older ones, so that is still technically possible, but this is really just going into minor details at this point.
The iPod out and change the volume. One thing I didn't even realize was that you could hear the music I was listening to. I didn't know this until I checked my B-roll footage, and that really sent me back to the times when, yeah, you could hear other people's music.
I guess it also depends on your headphones because, well, headphone technology has improved a lot. Even just like the earpods from 2012, those are still holding up really well even to this day. Sure, they may not be the greatest anymore or even just like, you know, the best, but considering that they are pretty easy to get a hold of, they are still pretty decent. But technically those are 2012, so, you know, not 2000s.
Other than that, the rest of the day I just played some games. Imagine being this poor janitor guy, you're kind of just like doing your job and boom, you're gone. The days that followed I was at work mostly, but funny enough, the technology there is super old. Like the computers are still running Windows 7, so that's still...
I mean, yeah, this is of course an older video, so it's not too surprising that they'd still be using Windows 7. I'm sure many places are still using older versions of Windows because at least like the Enterprise and server editions, they have more software support, but chances are nowadays it's probably going to be like Windows 10 Extended Edition or whatever.
Still helped my case. I will say this though about work. When I was on break or about to clock in and I was just listening to music, there was such a weird, just nostalgic feeling about just listening to music and staring out the window instead of just using your device while listening to music. It felt like you were more in the moment.
I mean, yeah, it's an iPod, so you can really only do a couple things with it. And it's a big reason as to why iPods are becoming more popular again, because, well, that's what it was designed to do. It's just designed to listen to music, or if you have an iPod video, you could watch movies or TV shows on it.
Here we go. We know what's next.
Coming soon to theater.
Oh, man.
I have a couple DVDs, and I think even some, I don't know about VHS tapes, but I have some DVDs with this exact loading screen.
Nostalgic, am I right? But yeah, when I got home, I just put on Finding Nemo. I have honestly not seen this film since like 2008, which is insane.
I'm just now noticing, does he have like a 4x3 DVD copy? Because he's watching the movie's in 4x3, but he has a 16:9 or maybe 16:10 panel. It would have been more of the era to watch this on a large CRT TV, but I also understand that those are not exactly the easiest things to move around, so it's understandable that he's watching it on his computer.
Insane to think, but it's also fresh in my mind because I've seen it like every single day for like half of my life. Alright, day 2 is done. Today is no work day, tomorrow's no work day, so I have to find something to do. Probably just schoolwork and basically everything I've been doing before. And then for the last 2
all
days,
night.
I'm kind of lucky because I'll be working for most of the day, so I won't have to worry about finding things to do. So yeah, the thing that stood out the most about that day is that I was just speedrunning Portal. I don't know what the record
Oh, nice. The orange box. Can't go wrong with that.
is officially for 2009. I don't even remember what the regular record is, but yeah, I guess we'll see how we'll do. The first time I had to pause in between so the time wasn't really accurate, so I went through the whole game again.
Now, you can't go wrong with some classic 360 gaming.
Here we go. An hour and 2 minutes, baby. Yes! I mean, it's not a record. But yeah, the day after was basically the same. Walking, playing games, yeah. I also miss,
It is awesome to actually play Guitar Hero on a CRT.
having the option to choose my own music. Because now I'm just limited to 1,000 songs, and 1,000 isn't really as much as I thought it would be. So yeah, nothing interesting happened following that. I had work. Although Kanye came on the radio, which is rare. That's so long I've been on ya. But yeah, that was basically the week. Let's go ahead and, I guess.
It's over already? This was actually way faster than I thought, but then again, it is only a 6-minute video.
Get back to basics. I want to see how many notifications I got on my phone, because it's been on airplane mode the whole week. We're gonna turn off airplane mode. Here we go. Oh! I guess no one cares about Just imagine.
No notifications.
Yeah, there. Yep. Overall, unlike last time when it was mentally painful, I really enjoyed myself this time. Yeah, I was definitely missing some stuff, but I didn't really feel hollow. I guess.
So it wasn't like 100%, you know, you're going back in time to like 2009 or something, but he's just making use of the technology from that era to kind of unwind, disconnect, and just have some fun.
The reason it worked this time is because I was leaving my place, and I had other things to do than just play games and watch movies, because that's not the only thing that people were doing back then. I didn't really use Facebook or MySpace.
And the video just ends. But overall, it is pretty interesting to see a challenge where he actually spent some time trying to make it a bit more era appropriate. But at the same time, it was more like, just focusing on having fun with technology from this era. Definitely a lot more accurate compared to the other video, but I guess now we could also look at some of the comments. So I'm trying to keep all my thoughts organized because there's, a lot going on here. But basically with this video, it was a challenge, but it's not like... Honestly, I'm not really sure how to describe it. He did actually use the technology, but the other thing is that he had all of the consoles available at the time. Now, it's understandable, like maybe in 2009, to have the 6th generation consoles, so like the PS2, original Xbox, GameCube, because those were on their way out, really easy to get a hold of. But when it comes to having the PS3 and the 360, not a lot of people had both. The Wii was more affordable, but again, these are like small details. It really just depends on how you actually want to do this type of challenge. So yeah, so far it's just a lot of like, this era is pretty cool. What if we all just decided to live like it was the 2000s again? Legally, no one could stop us. I mean, you could try with all the modern technology nowadays. It's not like you should completely discredit modern technology. Even though I use old stuff all the time, I still use modern tech as well, and I'm using YouTube right now, which I guess you could classify as modern because it's always being updated, but nothing's stopping you from using old tech just to have fun, unwind, maybe play some older games that aren't re-released anywhere. Best way to relive the 2000s is to time travel, which is literally impossible. This is kind of like the closest you can get where you use the technology, but with so much stuff different nowadays, it's not like 100% the same. 2000s and Windows 7, gotta go for Windows XP. Again, this really just... There's so much stuff you could talk about this. I'm just gonna say that you could technically, say you're in the 2000s with Windows 7, but Windows XP was by far the most used operating system for a long time, so that would be more accurate. Honestly, yeah, the 7th generation consoles like the PS3 and the 360 are still great consoles to use. Yeah, they may not be the best in terms of graphics or really anything, but you can just put in the game and it works. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff is based on nostalgia, really. Yeah, a lot of people are just nostalgic here. Spent my life in the 2000s. Honestly, if you want to say early 2000s for camera quality, you'd probably be better off saying like something tape-based. So mini DV, digital 8. Because if you have like straight digital quality from the early 2000s, it'd probably be even worse. So to summarize the video, I would say that there is a bigger attempt made in this one compared to this one, and the camera was definitely more representative of the time, at least for the late 2000s. But when you say a statement like living in the 2000s or 2000s technology, there's just so much you can talk about, so many small details, and I'd say for an attempt to just have some fun, this was a solid video. He actually used the technology. He didn't just look at it and say that, oh, it's old, it can't do anything. Anything else is really just nitpicking on small details. But otherwise, it was a fun video. It showed off that the technology is still useful, and that's pretty much all I really have to say for this. Now, going to the Mac here, I think I might have done something wrong with the installer here. Maybe I got an incorrect ISO or who knows what, because the thing is with server editions, it's supposed to ask you for a serial code or a serial number, which is something that normal macOS doesn't do, and you pretty much never see that nowadays when it comes to more modern software because it's all subscription and cloud-based anyways. I never got that message, and whenever it restarts, it just goes into the normal install of 10.3 Panther. It's okay because this is the first time I'm doing anything server related in terms of like old macOS server software. So I'm just gonna have to try this again, maybe find another installer to see if I can get this up and running. I'll just have to deal with this off camera. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, then consider leaving a thumbs up. And if you want to see more reaction style content, then please let me know because this is still a new topic. I have a lot of fun with it, but it's still going to take me some time. In fact, I had to reconfigure my audio settings because I forgot how I had it set up the last time, so I kept on having to double check it, make sure everything is actually recording properly. This time I actually wrote down the settings, so I don't have to go through that again. So I want to say thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.